I want to talk about volunteer metrics and why I don't like the idea. But I have mixed feelings, so I want to explore it here with you. So, grab a cup of coffee. I am a member of a local fraternal club, and I help out a little bit here and there, and lately I found myself helping out a little bit more. I just felt like doing it. And somebody told me that I should log my volunteer hours, because if I accumulate enough logged hours, then I can get some benefits, little benefits, like some swag. I can get like a t-shirt, or I can get some credit towards my annual dues. And well, that's a nice thing, and it is an incentive. And if you think about the goal of the organization is to do good works and help people and help each other, then incentivizing people to do little incentives, I get it. Human beings respond to incentives, and towards the end goal, you can mobilize perhaps more people to do things. And I think it's normal in these type of fraternal clubs where you have a core of people, using like the governing board, plus just a few diehards, whatever, who do a lot of the work in maintaining and operating and doing events and all that stuff. And there's a few people who show up when they can, but everyone else just drinks and gambles. That's what they do, right? And that's where the thing is, that's where the as a very practical measure, that's where the club gets its money, okay? From alcohol sales and from gaming. So there's a very practical consideration here with the organization when they want you to log your hours, right? And they can boast of the hours. They could advertise, like, look, our organization has done so many hours of volunteer work in a community near you. It's a noble organization. You should join up and help out, or whatever, right? That you can market the organization that way. I can understand that as well. And towards the end goal of supporting the charitable aims of the club, it makes sense. However, I do not like the idea of filling out a time card for my volunteer work. It feels more like work than my cheerfully giving of my time. And I don't like the idea of doing charity or volunteering to be seen doing it. Now, inevitably, if you're participating, people are going to see you do it. But it's one thing to be seen doing it, another thing to do it to be seen. And I'll show up and I'll help, but I'm not there to be seen doing it. But if I fill out a time card, now I'm doing it to be seen. Now, something, no, you can just show up whenever you want, and you happen to be there, just fill out the time card. What's the big deal? They want you to fill out a time card. Help them out. It feels wrong. Now, I don't know if this is me, like, refusing to take any kind of reward for a good thing. I mean, I do take reward for good things. I offer mowing grass at an extreme discount, like real cheap handyman type stuff, and I don't have a lot of business. But the little I get, yeah, I get a little money. And I think I'm doing a good thing, especially if somebody can't do it for themselves. Recently I helped a disabled person trying to get rid of an old box spring and mattress that belonged to someone who passed away, and like they needed it out of their home. But this person just doesn't have much money, can't hire a regular handyman with a pickup truck. So I went there, and we loaded the mattress into the van, which it didn't fit right, so I had to like squish it in the back. And then the box spring was too wide too, so I had to cut that thing apart. I cut the wood part apart with a circular saw, and then I used a sawzall to cut the wires enough of the spring match of the baseboard of the box spring, so that we could fold it in half and then stick it in the back of the van. And this person was very appreciative. All right, I got a token payment. I'm not like, normally a handyman be like, all right, well, I'm $75 an hour, and like, I'd not charge this person $75 to do it, way less. Okay, and I'm not boasting about that. I'm using it illustrative of a point. Okay, I'm so tired of fucking trying to speak to the normies of this world who are just gonna jump to the wrong fucking conclusion about what I'm talking about. My point is, yeah, I get a little something for helping out, but I'm still doing a good thing, okay? Some would say that, okay, then what's wrong with, why can't you just log your hours that you're there? Because I don't want to fill out a time card. Why can't I just spontaneously help out without filling out a time card? And I know that if we ever have arguments within the club, like, about who does what and how much, they're like, look at how many hours I have logged. What have you done? And it becomes an individual metric instead of the collective metric of meeting the goal of the organization. It'd be kind of like, all right, you might be familiar with like a local grocery store, not a name brand, not Shaw's or Albertson or Kroger, but like you have a local mom and pop grocery store. It's got like 2 checkout counters, maybe 3 tops. And everyone there pitches in. Everyone works. It's a group activity. And they may not have specific individual production metrics. Like if a truck comes in and there's so many pieces on the truck, then that's that many hours of work. You might get a general estimate, but you acknowledge that, unexpected things come up. Sometimes you end up with overstock that has to be put away and so on, right? And likewise, you'd be running a register, and you just kind of go by what it looks like. If the line starts to build up, someone else jumps on the other register, you clear it, and then they go back to doing whatever they were doing, right? Or maybe just having a busy time. It's the weekend, it's Friday night, everyone's getting food for dinner and whatever, snacks for movie night and whatnot. So you have a couple people down on the registers now, right? But then, like, someone convinces the owner that individual production metrics would be good because you can quantify how you're allocating your labor. So now you have scans per hour at the register. And if you're getting like a truck in, you have, hey, you're supposed to put away so many pieces per hour. And then now you have individual metrics. You can see who contributes this much, who contributes that much. When before you were all part of the same team, trying your best, meeting the collective goal. Yeah, some people were a little bit better than others. And you recognize that informally by giving, all right, you're now a shift leader. Here's an extra $1 an hour or something, right? You acknowledge that they're part of the team, but everyone's still part of the team working. And now you have all these individualized metrics. Now people are worried more about the metrics than the goal of the organization. And so you introduce this into a fraternal club, and I think that if this becomes the norm to talk about the number of logged hours, and you end up having me like, hey, and not many people logging hours this month, blah, blah, blah. It becomes, instead of being a group goal, it becomes an individual performance. Which isn't what charity is supposed to be, even though, yes, there are goals to meet. Like if you're having a food drive and then you have to bring all the canned goods down to the food pantry, yeah, you have to know, like, all right, how many cases do we have? How many cases can fit in a pickup truck? How many pickup trucks do we need? What am I going to do? I understand there is some planning going into that, but when you start getting down to the nitty gritty of the metrics, you lose the collective good of the organization and the focus. It becomes individual. Like, shit, I come here to drink, and now I got to put in my so many hours per month. And some of that ends up being not very productive. Like so I found myself on Saturday doing the dishes after an event. And I think I spent, I don't know, like an hour doing the dishes. I could have milked that to 2 hours. I could have puttered around if I were socially, and not very gregarious. If I was more gregarious like the other people, I want to walk around and had another beer, shot the shit with somebody, went back, do a few dishes. But I just, nose to the grindstone. I'm running the kitchen because no one else is in there. So we had, there were some leftovers that came out. They came out of we had like these hot plates. They kept everything nice and hot, safe temperature. They just came out, so I put the burger patties away, and then I took the grease and I wiped the grease out, on paper towels and threw it in the trash, and then I started doing the dishes, right? And I worked at it. I could have milked that to 2 or 3 hours, and then I could log, I volunteered for 3 hours. I didn't get shit done. So now it becomes like doing it definitely to be seen, because you know what? I want to get that swag. I get my 20 volunteer hours in, I can get a hat. I can get a t-shirt. I can get $5 off my annual dues. I don't know what the rewards are. I don't know what the reward thresholds are. And it really frosts my ass. I don't like it. But I also wonder if I'm like, if I'm being unreasonable by not logging my time. Like, I'm willing to consider that I could be wrong here, that as much as I want to just be raw about my volunteering. When I show up, I show up. And you might even argue the fact that I'm talking about this publicly on the internet means I'm being performative about my non-performivity. So therefore, I'm still performative. No, I'm here to teach something, to share ideas, hopefully get some feedback that's useful, instructive, uplifting, edifying. I'm really bothered by it. And then I punch a time clock for my day job. I take care of a handicapped person. Otherwise, I don't have to punch a time clock. I don't have, my performance metrics is just the quality of my work done. Sometimes I have a lawn to mow, so I mow it. And as long as I don't kill their ornamental plants and I get the grass cut, then I succeeded, right? Do I have to get this lawn done? Like, this lawn has a certain number of square feet. I have to get it done in 45 minutes or less. If I'm more than 45 minutes on this one, then I'm below production metrics. I got to push that mower faster. You got to bust your ass. I'm like, no, I don't want to live that way. I'm tired of living that way. Believe me, I have a mind for numbers. I have a mind for calculations and efficiency and all that. I don't want my life to be like that anymore. I used to work in a warehouse. We had to pick so many, units per hour. You're always racing the metrics. And yeah, the tasks I had to do that were measured, I could usually fairly easily meet the metric, 7.5 hours of work, I could usually make the metrics in like 6, right? And then the rest is value added. You could relax. It depends. It depends on the nature of the pick list, right? If you had good pick density and a big pick list, then you can get way ahead on your metrics. But on the other hand, you could get shit picks all day and you barely make your metrics, or you come up shy. And it's not a big deal if you come up shy, once in a while, because you're way ahead on other days, in days where, you're 20% over or whatever. So if you're like 5% short, it comes out in the wash. I'm tired of racing metrics. I really am. I never thought I'd say that. I never thought my mind that, I grew up computers and learning to do spreadsheets and doing a little bit of Excel, whatever, and writing computer programs and QBasic and Quick Basic and Visual Basic. I hate it. I hate all this digital quantification. Even though it can be used to increase efficiency, maybe we need to be just less fucking efficient and just trust that the people who show up to help really do want to help. And, you know, maybe they're really good at doing the dishes. Maybe they're really good at cleaning. You know, maybe they're good at little repairs. So, like, when the tack strip gets pulled up or whatever, like, they just go in and fix it. And they're not worried about, you know, oh my gosh, they did a 10-minute fix. I got to go log this to my club time card now to show that I helped out for 10 minutes fixing a tack strip that got pulled off the wall, you know. It feels wrong. It's just something, there's something. I don't have a word for it. Not everything has to be numerically calculated. I mean, there are realities of incomes and outlays, right? You know, that the club occupies a piece of property. There are property taxes on it. There are expenses to maintaining it, and you have to have sales and all that. But like, your quantification needs there's got to be limits to it. And I say this as a hyper rational autistic freak, you know. I don't even know how to present this to the club, like if they ever badger me about it. I really do. I don't know what to do. Maybe I make a recording like this and just see what they make of it. It really bothers me. I'm done. I'm now perseverating. Thanks for listening to me.